Bishop Academy Books. Presenting The Children's Encyclopedia by Arthur Mee.
The Three Little Pigs. Once upon a time, 3 little pigs went out into the world to seek their fortunes. The first little pig had not gone far before he met a man carrying straw. "If you please," said the little pig, "will you give me some of that straw to make me a house?" "With pleasure," replied the man. Away went the little pig with the straw and built his house. Now, an artful old wolf who lived close by determined to have the little pig for supper. So when it became dusk, he went up to the little straw house and called out, Little pig, may I come in?" But the little pig knew his voice and said, "No, no, by the hair of my chinny chin chin." "Ho, ho," cried the wolf, "then I'll puff and I'll blow till I blow your house in." And he puffed and he blew and he puffed and he blew till the house fell down. Then he sprang inside, pounced on the little pig, and gobbled him up. The second little pig met a man carrying some sticks. "If you please," said the little pig, "will you give me some of those sticks to make me a house?" "With much pleasure," replied the man. Away went the little pig with the sticks and built himself a cozy house. That night the wolf came to the door. Little pig," cried the wolf, "may I come in?" "No, no," replied this little pig, "by the hair on my chinny chin chin." "Ho, ho," cried the wolf, "then I'll puff and I'll blow till I blow your house in." And he puffed and he blew and he puffed and he blew till the house fell down. Then he sprang inside, pounced on the little pig, and gobbled him all up. But the third little pig was exceedingly wide awake the morning he set out on his travels. This little pig went on till he saw a man carrying bricks. "If you please," said the little pig, "will you give me some of those bricks to make me a house?" "With pleasure," replied the man. Away went the little pig with the bricks and built his house. Soon the old wolf came along that way. Little pig, may I come in?" "No, no, by the hair on my chinny chin chin." "Then I'll puff and I'll blow till I blow your house in." But the house was made of bricks, and the old wolf, he puffed and he blew, and still the house stood firm. The wolf was furious, but pretending he did not mind, he said quite pleasantly, "Do you like apples? I know an orchard down the lane where the trees are covered with fruit. I'll call for you in the morning and show you the way." The next morning, the wolf got up very early and walked round to the little pig's house. But the little pig must have got up earlier still, for when the wolf arrived, he found him out. The wolf hurried off to the orchard, but the little pig saw him coming and climbed up into a tree. "These are indeed fine apples," he called out as the wolf came up to it. "Just try this one," and he threw the apple as far away as he could into some long grass. Then, while the wolf was hunting for it, the little pig ran home. The wolf did not like being beaten, so the next morning he went again to the little pig's house and said, "There's going to be a fair on the village green this afternoon. You come with me and we'll have a fine time. I'll call for you at 3 o'clock." The little pig said nothing, but at 2:30 he started off for the fair. He bought a churn and was rolling it home when he saw the wolf in the distance. Quick as lightning, the little pig jumped into the churn to hide and set it rolling down the hill. It came flying along at such a speed that the wolf became frightened and ran home as fast as he could. When he felt braver, he went to the little pig's house. "I was just on my way to call for you this afternoon," he shouted, "when I met an awful thing rolling down the hill all by itself. It gave me a horrible fright." The little pig burst out laughing. "It was I," said he. "I spied you coming and jumped inside to save my skin." This so enraged the wolf that he jumped up onto the roof and began sliding down the chimney. But it was baking day, and the little pig had made a huge fire, and that was the end of the wolf. Rumpelstiltskin. In a certain kingdom once lived a poor miller who had a very beautiful daughter. She was, moreover, exceedingly shrewd and clever, and the miller was so proud of her that one day he told the king of the land that his daughter could spin gold out of straw. Now this king was very fond of money, and when he heard the miller's boast, he ordered the girl to be brought before him. Then he led her to a chamber where there was a great quantity of straw, gave her a spinning wheel, and said, "All this must be spun into gold before morning, as you value your life." It was in vain that the poor maiden declared she could do no such thing. The chamber was locked, and she was alone. She sat down in the corner of the room and began to cry. The door opened, and a droll-looking little man hobbled in and said, "Good day to you. What are you weeping for?" "Alas," answered she, "I must spin this straw into gold, and I know not how." "What will you give me," said the little man, "to do it for you?" "My necklace," replied the maiden. He took her at her word and set himself down to the wheel. Round about it he went merrily, and before very long the gold was all spun. When the king came and saw this, he was greatly astonished and pleased, but his heart grew still more greedy, and he shut up the poor miller's daughter again with a fresh task. Then she knew not what to do, but the little man presently opened the door and said, "What will you give me to do your task?" "The ring on my finger," she replied. So her little friend took the ring and began to work at the wheel till by the morning all was finished again. The king was vastly delighted to see all this glittering treasure, but still he was not satisfied, and took the miller's daughter into a yet larger room and said, "All this must be spun tonight, and if you succeed you shall be my queen." As soon as she was alone, the dwarf came in and said, "What will you give me to spin gold this third time?" "I have nothing left," said she. "Then promise me," said the little man, "your first little child when you are queen." "That may never be," thought the miller's daughter, but as she knew no other way to get her task done, she promised him what he'd asked, and he spun once more the whole heap into gold. The king came in next morning, and finding all he wanted, married her. At the birth of her first little child, the queen rejoiced very much and forgot the little man and her promise. But one day he came into her chamber and reminded her of it. Then she offered him all the treasures of the kingdom in exchange, but in vain, till at last her tears softened him, and he said, "If in 3 days you tell me my name, you shall keep your child." Now the queen lay awake all night, thinking of all the odd names that she ever heard, and dispatched messengers through the land to inquire after new ones. The next day the little man came, and she began with Timothy, Benjamin, Jeremiah, and all the names she could remember. But to each one he said, "That's not my name." The second day she began with all the comical names she could hear of, Bandy-Legs, Hunchback, Crookshanks, and so on. But the little gentleman still said to everyone, "That's not my name." On the third day came back one of the messengers and said, "Yesterday as I was climbing a high hill among the trees of the forest where the fox and the hare bid each other good night, I saw a little hut, and before the hut burnt a fire, and round about the fire danced a funny little man upon one leg, singing, 'Merrily the feast I'll make, today I'll brew, tomorrow bake, merrily I'll dance and sing, for next day will a stranger bring. Little does my lady dream, Rumpelstiltskin is my name.'" Then the queen jumped for joy, and as soon as her little visitor came, she said, "Is your name John?" "No." "Is it Tom?" "No." "Is it Rumpelstiltskin?" "A witch told you that!" cried the little man, and dashed his right foot in a rage so deep into the floor, he had to lay hold of it with both hands to pull it out. Then he made the best of his way off while everybody laughed at him for having had all his trouble for nothing at all.